All right, friends, thank you for being here. My name is Damian Mason. I am hosting this panel. I am part of Xtreme Ag. Xtreme Ag is a consortium of 5 success-minded, future-minded, forward-thinking farm operators, and we have 3 of them on the panel today. We've got Kelly Garrett from Arion, Iowa on the left end. He's going to be talking to you about his Nachurs usage of his Nachurs program and his standard practices. We're going to be talking and hearing from Kevin Matthews. Kevin Matthews is from North Carolina. He's going to be talking to you about Nachurs products that he uses on both corn and on soybeans and the results he has seen and some learning things for you. We also then have Matt Miles. Matt Miles is going to talk to you about his usage of Nachurs products, specifically on a soybean plot that he did last year, and he's going to tell you about the results, and he's going to talk about using a Nachurs product for cotton. We didn't hear anything about cotton yesterday. We're going to hear about cotton today. So we also have Jason Webster. Jason Webster's with Precision Planting. Jason, what's your title there?
Commercial agronomist, and I manage the PTI farm, the Precision Technology Institute.
We're talking about putting a lot of stuff through the planter. You know, the more high yield you want to be and the more advanced you want to be, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff at time of planting. So we're going to be talking to Jason about what happens at time of planting and how to maximize returns at time of planting, because he is with, after all, Precision Planting. So then, let's get things moving on. Kelly, would you do me a favor and kick us off? You use Nachurs products, and you said in our panel yesterday that you're at the point now where you have made Nachurs products standard practice. A few years ago, you were experimenting. Now it's a standard practice. It goes almost all of your acres. Go ahead and expand on that.
Yes, that's exactly right. We were running Impulse in Furrow, and then we'd run potassium acetate K-Fuel in our 2x2 on our corn acres. Because of working with Tommy, we've switched from Impulse to First Down, and now we will also add Crop Max, which are micronutrients in Furrow, and we continue to put the K-Fuel in the 2x2. Potassium acetate is tremendous. And the reason we switched from Impulse to First Down is there's more potassium acetate in it. On our soybean acres, we used to put Fertility and Furrow, but we didn't see a yield bang from that. This year we're going to test, because of Kevin, we're going to test Fertility on the soybeans in the 2x2 because Kevin's having a nice return from that, and I'm excited to try that as well.
Okay, the product you used last year, Impulse 2021, we're going to come back to you and we're going to hear about your 2022 plan, more about using the product First Down. Kevin, North Carolina operator, you had a pretty interesting thing. You, Kevin, set a record, National Corn Growers Association award-winning wedding corn. Kevin's daughter, Danielle, got married this summer, so he had a field that he put out that he referred to as his wedding corn. Actually, it turns out that was his gift that he gave to his daughter. He went out and won a big yield competition. He took the trophy and said, "There, congratulations, honey." Anyway, go ahead and tell us about your wedding corn, please, and the products from Nachurs you used on your wedding corn, Kevin.
I really don't think all that you said is correct, because I did not have a choice in it. I mean, Miss Danielle said that's where she was going to get married at, and Miss Cindy said you better have it pretty. So between Danielle and Tommy Roach, they got together and got a game plan, and I think we hauled a trailer load full of goodies to the planter and mixed all this stuff in there. And Tommy said, if you'll do it exactly as I say, we'll guarantee you that corn will be green if you don't let it get dry. So we kept it is irrigated. It was quite successful. We used several different products in there, and they've done a great job. And the compatibility of them, that's what scared me, was when Tommy gave us this big recipe, was the antagonism and how it was going to affect, what was going to mix and whatnot. Because you get a 24-row planter and you get something in there that don't agree with each other, it can get pretty ugly. We did jar test on it. Tommy had actually checked it before we did it and got the ratios right and had no issues whatsoever with that. And that's one of the very important things when you're working with these companies. Jason can attest to it probably more than anybody, is knowing that these products are compatible with each other.
One of your big things, Kevin, is about compatibility. When we do webcasts or webinars and podcasts, you talk a lot about that. Again, there's a lot of products that are going out here when you want to be a yield setter, and you're using a lot of products. Compatibility and ease of use is a big theme that you hear from Kevin Matthews, and it's an important theme. So we're going to revisit that, and also be thinking of your questions. This is an interactive session. We want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions. We want to make sure that we're adding value to your visit here to Commodity Classic, as well as the Nachurs booth. Matt Miles, McGee, the Delta region of Arkansas. You put out your first usage of Nature's products, I think, on a soybean plot that you did. Tell us about the soybean plot you did and the results you saw, as well as the products, if you can remember all the products you used.
Well, that's what, you see me looking at my phone because we use several products in Furrow on the soybeans. And like Kelly had said earlier, you know, having trouble finding an ROI with an in-furrow on soybeans. So, you know, Mr. Tommy came by and he said, you know, just give me a chance. I think I can make it work. So we used K-Fuse, Side Swipe, Humaflex as an in-furrow product, which is traditionally not something we do in our area. I mean, we've tested it several times, but we got pictures. Mr. Tommy come down there and look, and we started digging them up. That's the first time I'd looked at them too, as far as, you know, we was waiting for him to get there. And I mean, the roots were twice as big, the leaves were twice as big, you know, and we're talking about, what were those, Rob? Probably V1, V2 at that time when we dug them up and did the comparison. So, you know, through that program that we went on with the foliars and different things, and we picked up a really good ROI. So we're going to try that some more this year. Not whole hog, but we are going to try some more in-furrow on soybeans.
Okay, before we hear from Jason Webster about precision planting and making sure that all the stuff that's happening at time of planting is done right, we're going to go back through the guys with Xtreme Ag one more time. Kelly, looking forward to next year. You're going to, you spoke about how you're sold on Nature's products and it's become standard practice. It's across all your acres. You're going to try something new next year, and it's a product called First Down. We didn't hear about that previously, right?
No, we had First Down on some research acres this year. It's because of Tommy. First Down has more potassium acetate than Impulse, and I'm a real believer in potassium acetate. You know, it's not always about the pounds of K we're putting in there. It's what we're getting into the plant. And getting it into the plant, you know, triggers the plant, exudates the microbial system in the soil, and makes the plant uptake more. Every time I go across the field, I'm putting potassium acetate on. That's why I've got First Down in Furrow and K-Fuel in my 2x2.
I'm going to steal Tommy Roach's thunder. If you don't know Tommy Roach, he's like the savant of Nachurs, and he also names their products mostly after football terminology because he's a Texas Tech Red Raiders fan. And if you're a Texas Tech Red Raiders football fan, other form of fulfillment, because obviously it's not by watching them win. So he does that by naming Nature's products, proprietary products with Texas Tech football themed names. The next product, in fact, coming out is going to be how to lose in a game that you score 85 points. Anyway, Tommy talked yesterday about potassium products, and he spoke about K-Flex, and I think it speaks to what you're talking about, Kelly, that the usage of potassium to enhance the absorption, or shall I say, uptake of other nutrition. And I want Kevin to talk a little bit about that. You said, if I'm not mistaken, Tommy, that Kelly Garrett believes you put on this potassium product, and every time you go across the field, it's going to enhance the fertility uptake. Right. You want to continue on that, or does Kevin want to hit on that?
Again, it's not about the pounds of K. You know, potassium acetate is an 0024. You know, you're going to have to put on like 10 gallons to get just 24 pounds of K. I'm not trying to get pounds of K. I'm trying to get that little bit of K into the plant to stimulate the plant to want to do more on its own. You know, we have tremendous fertility in the soil. The plant just has to want to go get it. I mean, that's oversimplifying it, but that's what we're trying to do. Potassium acetate is highly available. Gets into the plant, you know, through my irrigation, I can see it get my tissue samples in 3 days. It gets in the plant, spikes the levels of the plant, makes the plant healthy, happy, and hungry. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Do you have anything on potassium usage to help the uptake of the other nutrients, Kevin?
Well, the biggest thing is you want a good product, and you need to get it placed properly. But for us, you know, we use the triple option. We use that in our planting, just our normal program, and we run about 8 gallons on our soybeans. That's our total fertility. We put it in a 2x2, and yield gold, we've seen yields up in the 130s to 140s measured. We've seen, at that 8 gallons as a total fertility on the soybeans, that is the cheapest fertility program I can come up with. The orthophosphates this year has got the least price increase of any other fertility programs we can look at. We have had situations last year, one time that we had a potassium deficiency later on about R5, and we did fix that with K-Fuel. But it was a dry weather potassium deficiency that we seen in the soybeans. That's the only time I've ever seen that I needed to add extra. I did find out later my pH was a little bit low on that farm. I don't know if that contributed to it or if it was just simply the dry weather. But at the end of the day, we corrected it, and we averaged over 90 bushels an acre on those soybeans on about 88 acres in 3 fields. So you can't never give up. You got to keep going.
You mentioned about the cheapest form of fertility with the biggest return, and we talk a lot at Xtreme Ag, and I encourage all of you to watch what we're doing there at extremeag.farm, because a lot of product trials are being done, a lot of really cool business stuff that we're talking about at extremeag.farm. Go there. One of our big things is return on investment. Can you divulge any numbers, from a standpoint of when you look at using that Nachurs product, can you tell me about dollars per acre and dollar return on some of the samplings and trials you've done?
Well, I love my trial work. I love the high yield and irrigated, but the fact is we have a lot more dry land acres, non-irrigated. So we got to optimize that and make the most money possible. When my total fertility program is running me, if you use triple option at $7 a gallon for an average, would that be a pretty good average, Tommy, in today's environment for triple option, $7? Yeah, we'll just use $7. So at 8 gallons, you're talking way less than $70 if you want to count your handling, any kind of expenses you can talk about. And we're averaging 70 to 80 bushels.
A $7 investment.
No, it would be $7 per gallon.
Okay.
8 gallons per acre.
Okay, give me the return.
Well, if you want to compare it to a dry program, you're going to be spending what, Jason, $200? If you
can use your microphone.
Yeah.
You have a microphone for a reason.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Depending on how much fertilizer you need to apply for buildup and maintenance, yeah, you could be looking at over $200 plus easy.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jason's done an awesome job there at PTI replicating what we've done.
Do you want to contribute anything on the return on investment and what we're talking about here? Because using the Nachurs products can save you money on the input, get you bump on the harvest.
Well, you can look up on the screen up here with the corn we ran last year. That's our protocol. That's the recipe that we ran. I'm not saying it's the perfect right thing. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing. It's what we did. We tell everybody we're open and honest, and you can see an average yield gain versus what we call status quo corn in our area. We're picking up another 91.3 bushel corn. But here's the thing: everybody always asks, well, what crop inputs did you put on extra? How many trips across the field extra did you make? Did you make any money doing it? We made over $200 an acre by getting that extra yield. And we tell guys all the time, yeah, it's a little more work to get extra yield, but we are making more money. And we're trying to figure out what inputs do we need to be applying that gives us the individual yield, and we're going to cull the others. It's a culling of the herd. The ones that aren't producing for us, we're going to pull them out, and that's what we're running right there.
One of the things that we didn't talk about yesterday, and we're going to talk about today, is cotton production. Now, I know that here at Commodity Classic, we're supposed to be brought to you by the corn, the soy, the wheat, and the sorghum. And you know what? You're a big fan. You came in late, but you're excited about cotton, and we appreciate that. So as long as we got one cotton fan in the house, we're going to talk about cotton. And we got one cotton producer. We got, you know what? This is like an auction. Go three. Okay, we're going to talk about cotton now with Matt Miles. He's in the Delta region of eastern Arkansas, and he uses Nachurs products in cotton, and I want to hear from him about that. And by the way, if you have not gotten your cotton-themed Nachurs koozie, you can get one of these afterwards, because after all, Texas, Lubbock, where our buddy Tommy lives, Texas, #1 cotton-producing state. But that's all right. We're here to talk about Arkansas. Arkansas cotton and the Nachurs products you use, Matt.
Yeah, we did an infra product. An infra project, I guess you would say, with cotton. And I want to go back to the corn and what Kevin and Kelly both talked about. And 5 or 6 years ago, when I started hanging out with you guys, infra planting products was not important to me. And that, all these guys were doing that, and they were getting yields out of it, real yields. They opened their books to me just like I do mine to them. And I got to thinking, why is an infra products not working for me, but it works for everyone else? It's the things I wasn't doing right besides the Furrow program. The mistakes I was making, say corn for instance, put the Furrow out there and then quit the corn before it was time to quit it. Still be in grain field, need more products and not use them. So I learned the hard way that, what I was doing, the mistakes I was making, was a lot of the reason why the Furrows wasn't working. And listening to these guys and watching some of the yields they put up on beans and corn too, made me not only made me a better farmer, but it made me look at what they were doing to get that point. And so Rob and I started researching each one of their farms and where their successes were coming from, and that's where we got into the Furrows. And I don't know about you, Eric, but 5 years ago an Furrow on cotton, unless you run vellum, we have to go over cotton 6 or 7 or 8 times for insects. So you get kind of tired of going over the field. And so, at planting, you wanted to plant the right amount of seed and do it right, but any extra work, seemed like it was, extra work. And like you had said earlier, we started seeing, 60, 100 pounds per acre, pounds per acre increase in yield. So with a little bit more trouble, you can make a little to a lot more money. And that's something that I learned paying attention to small things just by watching neighbors and friends and that kind of thing.
And the guys from Xtreme Ag, of course. Okay.
That's the friends.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Now we're going to turn our attention to Mr. Webster. He is the precision planting guy. I think we're going to open with one simple question. We got a lot of crap going on at time of planting. We got a lot of stuff going on. In the old days, you had your seed, fertilizer, and maybe an insecticide, right? Now we're talking about 2x2s and biologicals and starter ferts and some magic dust and all kinds of crazy stuff. What are we doing wrong, or what do you think we can get better yields at time of planting doing a certain practice? What things are happening there that you think we could do better, Jason?
Well, everything is a banned for us. There's no broadcast applications of fertilizer allowed at the research farm. There's no banding, no broadcast fertilizer. It's all banding. And I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to show you what we're doing. So this 91 extra bushel of corn, this was 358 bushel corn that we're talking about in this scenario. The top 3 boxes are my at-plant nutrition. The only thing that's not on this recipe card is my dry fertilizer that's in my strip till in the fall. So I've got dry fertilizer to address my soil test values, to build my soil test values up, and then everything is liquid from then on. I'm using this to maintain. And the top 3 boxes are the planter treatments. I've got 1 tank and pump that goes right to the center, Furrow Jet center. So that's right on the seed, in between the seed. And you can see I'm running first down and face off up here from Nachurs. I transitioned to my 2nd tank and pump in Furrow Jet wings. It's just off to the side. I'm running a little more first down, Humiflex. I'm adding a little bit of water for more surface area, and then we relay out again. You'll hear me talk about relay a lot. We relay a 3rd time through conceal, and that's through the gauge wheels. That's what some people refer to as a 2x2. It's actually 3 inches over and 1.5 inches deep. But look at some of the products we're using here, some of the potassium and K-Fuse, throwback, sideswipe, micronutrients, and here's where we're putting on our nitrogen as well. So that's what we use for a foundation to start this crop off. This is what we're going to use to get her to V5 on corn. Because we all know a V5, that's when we're making the first yield determination, setting rounds. So use this as a foundation, get the V5, keep the 18 or keep the 20, what have you, and then we run from there.
All right, we're going to then move over here with Jason, but I want to run through the panel one more time. We probably brought up a couple of questions when you heard other people talking that made you think about something. That's the beauty of a panel. What did you just hear from Jason that made you think about what you've done or what you're going to do with the Nachurs products in 2022?
I would just say pay attention to the small things. A lot of these things that Jason did in this study, I'm getting in trouble. A lot of small things make big things.
Okay, so the detail right over here that Jason just outlined, it doesn't seem like much when you compound all those together. This little thing, this little. Well, how many bushels are we talking about? How many percentage of a gain are we talking about, Kevin?
It depends on the level of confidence you want to go to. I mean, it's the cool thing with what Kelly and I got to spend some time with Jason this summer there at PTI, and the thing that I took away, I can't speak for Kelly, but I think he'll say the same, is all these things that we've been doing on our farm and we knew we had ROI because we're looking at it across the large acres. You know, it's nice when that strip does good, but what really pays is when that 20-acre plot, when you win on that 20-acre plot, that gets my attention. That 100-foot wide, 300-foot strip, if it does okay, that's good, but it's hard to justify spending an extra $50,000 on a 24-row planter to add something. And when you put it on a 20-acre plot and you see it, it reinsures it. And then when you take what Jason does, he's got the staff and the time to go in and break out each individual component. I mean, it's really cool. What is there, about 400 acres there, Jason?
That's right. Yep, 400.
Yep. It's really cool to see what we're doing on large acres, and then he can go in and break down and back up our successes and our failures, because there's a lot of things. I'm really against the center point, the Furrow. If you notice on that Furrow jet, Jason's going with a much lower rate of first down in Furrow. And I agree so much with that. I'm really against when you start increasing that rate of fertilize in Furrow, because you can cause damage. If you don't believe it, we did tests from 3 gallons to 8 gallons. The 4 gallons won every time this year on 100-plus acres, doing replicated tests across that 100-plus acres. So that really gets your attention on that in Furrow. But then when you take those Furrow jets that Jason showed us there, inch away, is that correct, from the seed?
3/4 of an inch away and 3/4 of an inch higher. Yep.
Yeah. So you're not putting that on there. So it's an awesome setup to put your biologicals. And actually, with today's corn prices, I would really be looking, or fertilizer prices would be the better answer. I would really be looking at that Furrow jet, putting just some biologicals with that center point, and putting 10 gallons of a 318-18 out there in the wings. You grow 200 bushel corn all day long. All you need to do is add your nitrogen.
Do you have anything, or should we go to questions? Anybody have a question? Remember, we want to make this interactive. We got a guy back here. Let me run with the microphone. We're going to step away from that speaker so we don't get feedback. This is Joel from Oregon.
So, particularly, Kevin, you're talking about putting down 8 gallons 2x2 with your soybeans. Are you maintaining your soil fertility levels with that, raising those yields, and have you found a top? Like, have you tried 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? I mean, really.
Yeah, I like that question. Chad Henderson would love that, because he'd be the 50 guy. He would try that.
Didn't Chad Henderson say, Kevin, in one of our recordings, that he keeps putting stuff on there until he almost kills it, and then you say, wait a minute, why are you doing it? He says, them damn plants need to get tougher.
Yeah, that's pretty much him. And then he'll back down from there. I can't afford that program. So we was at 10 gallons is what we was at on our traditional just overall acreage. And what we noticed in our cover crops was in the wintertime we had a rise about 6-inch more growth over that previous row. So we was carrying fertilizer over to the next season. So I talked with some of the guys, and that's one of the beauties with us is we've got so many smart people we can call. I told him what I see, and he said, you need to lower it to 8 gallons. And, this guy was selling fertilizer. He says, you need to lower it to 8 gallons. You're using too much fertilizer. I said, wow, you don't hear that many times. But, that saved us the extra. At that time, it was about $5.60 a gallon. So we've done that. But, yes, we're maintaining our soil levels. The difference in these orthophosphates and the banding that Jason referred to is you're managing the plant instead of the acre. And we got to get out of this mentality that we want to put so many pounds per acre out there. We need to look at how many plants we're trying to support and grow. That's my opinion. I've not got no doctorate degree or no master's or no kind of agronomy degree, but that's just my opinion. Jason, what's your thoughts? You did a lot of testing.
Wait. It's not just an opinion. You like to talk about you've actually seen the results. So it's not just an opinion. It's opinion based on what you've seen on the practices on your farm.
Yeah, but I can always do better.
Jason, what are you showing us over here?
Yeah, let's run through these real quick. It's all about placement. So here's Furrow Jet. We're running on the seed, in between the seed. So here you can choose a product. A lot of times we run sugars, biologicals here. If you want to stay away from traditional starters, you can do that. It's safe. Okay. Then we can move over into Furrow Jet wings, and then you can get into some of this maybe traditional starters, phosphorus, zinc. Okay, be safe here. And then we hammer down. These are the high horsepower products and conceal. And we call this whole program, the 5-point touch. Okay, we've got 5 bands of treatments out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it's 3 tanks and pump on a planter to do this, but it's given us yield, it's given us ROI. I was talking to a grower up in Michigan a week ago, and he said, Jason, I see what you're doing with this planter. He said, I want you to know that my son and I put 68 gallon of liquid fertilizer to the acre with our planter, and everybody kind of laughed at him a little bit. And I said, well, why are you putting on that many gallons per acre on your planter? And he looked at me and he said, I'll tell you why. That's how I get yield. If I put on less, my yield goes down. So what am I supposed to do? Think about that. Yeah, it's a little more work. Think about this. I asked a grower the other day. He says, Webster, he says, I can't put this liquid fertilizer on my planter. You're just going to slow me down at planting time. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? I just bought a 160-acre farm. You want to farm it? And he said, yeah. I said, wait a minute. You just told me you don't have enough time. It's all about priorities, isn't it? Let's do better with the acres we have. Go after it, make more yield, and let's make more money. And this is how we're doing it right here.
Any questions for Jason? By the way, that's obviously why a lot of you are here. We talked about it yesterday. These farm ground prices, according to Chicago Federal Reserve in the Midwest, went up 18% in the year 2021. I think we can all probably anecdotally say, no, it's more like 30%. So the point is, cash rents are going up, land prices are going up. What if we can do enough of these things right here where we grab more return per acre that we already have, and then all of a sudden our dollars, our income goes up, and it's not just by acquisition of land or outbidding the competition for cash rent. So that's what we're really talking about here. With that in mind, Kelly, you haven't talked for a while. You look a lot about how to get more dollars out of every single acre. What did we not cover so far in our panel to that end?
Well, I would like to reiterate what Jason says. You know, everybody would like to go do more. I believe that we should do better. Jason showing you how to make $200 an acre there more. That's better than going and buying another farm with tight margins. You're increasing that. It's intensive management, but your wages to be paid for that intensive management are very high. And I advocate for practices like that all the time. You know, like the Furrow jet. That destroys sidewall compaction. We saw a 6 bushel yield increase just with the Furrow jet, the way that it mechanically goes through the soil. And then you're applying the fertility through that, it just adds upon that. And like Kevin said, taking the fertility out of in Furrow, we're seeing more and more of that. We want to put it on the wings. We want to put it in the 2x2, put biology in the Furrow and spur that. You know, it's not more fertility, it's not less. It is, it's where you're putting it at and how the plant reacts to it.
We eventually need to get over here and demo this product right here, but do you want to catch that now, or you want to run through the panel one more time while we're talking about the stuff that happens in Furrow or next to Furrow or 2x2, or any of that kind of stuff? Kevin, did you have anything on that, or Matt, do you have anything on this right here?
I've got a question for you, Jason.
Yeah.
I get this question, and I'll tell you my answer, and then you tell me yours.
Okay.
And so if I have to choose, I've got 1 tank on my planter.
Oh, yeah.
And should I go in Furrow or should I go a 2x2? In my opinion, if you've only got 1 tank and you want to really utilize it, I recommend the 2x2. But that's based off my observations in Piedmont, North Carolina. Go for it.
Yeah. So the answer to that question, in my opinion, is this. These blue placement lines right here through conceal, 3 inches over, 1.5 inches deep. These are high horsepower products. It's nitrogen, it's potassium, it's sulfur, and it's boron. And I can't put them right here. I can't. And so if that's, I think we can get some really high yield here. Now, if you're a grower that comes to me and says, well, wait a minute, phosphorus is my yield limiting factor, then I'm gonna go back on this and say, you know what, maybe we need phosphorus here, closer to that seminal root system before we go into crown set, because we all know phosphorus doesn't move. And so sometimes I fear going phosphorus here, we don't get it into the plant by V5 when we do that ear set of that ear initiation there, okay, for girth. And so it's all about timing. So I guess the answer would be it depends, but that is why. Yeah.
Everybody hates it depends as the answer, you know what? By the way, which reminds me of my political comedy days. They asked about Bill Clinton, does he wear boxers or briefs? And then they asked Bob Dole, poor old Bob Dole, and he said, depends. Anyway, All right. Anyway, Steve, you had so many good questions yesterday. I hate to leave you out. Do you have a question? You're sitting there. I see it in your eye. There's something you want to ask, isn't there?
Well, one of the problems, we don't have that equipment. I mean, that's one issue, I guess. It's not a question, just observation.
All right. So maybe you need a recommendation. What do we do if we don't have this equipment? Cash rent, maybe? What's the answer to that, Jason?
Well, I mean, we don't have to have the whole 5-point touch right away. I think it's experiment. Know what your yield limiting factors are. Again, if it's phosphorus, I want to put something in Furrow if I can, somehow, some way. Maybe it's only a smart firm or a Keaton seed firmer with just a few gallons per acre, low volume. Okay, I won't slow you down in that situation. We can put a little phosphorus there. But if you want to incorporate some of these other products, we've got a really nice way to do it. Placement is key, but you can start, with the little things and then work your way up and build the package.
Okay, hang on. Rob's got a question.
So you're saying that the biggest bang for your buck is in the 2x2, and then we're saying that if we only got one option, to put a little bit of phosphorus or something like that in the furrow.
I'm saying if you're going to force me to go one attachment on the planter, I'm going to go those blue lines there and conceal is what we call it, 3 inches over, 1.5 inches deep. That's the one I'm going to take because normally our highest individual contribution to yield of all those is conceal in that band. However, that's where I mentioned the phosphorus. If phosphorus is your yield limiting item, I don't want to go there because I'm going to have to position some phosphorus in the trench. So it depends on the field situation to answer that question properly. That's how we address it, though.
Anybody else got a question? Anybody got a question? All right.
I would like to say something to
Matt.
Steve. Yeah, Steve. I was exactly where you were. Okay, so we didn't put any furrows out on anything, and
Tell me what kind of planters you run.
yeah, that's what I was fixing. And so we also run 3-point hitch because we're on raised beds for irrigated. So a lot of you guys are pulling planters, and you got places to put your tanks and stuff. Makes it really convenient for us to be able to do the 2x2 or the furrow. It's got to we got to carry our water on the tractor. So I came back from a conference. I told Rob what all we wanted to do, and we put 2 500-gallon saddle tanks on, a 500-gallon front tank. We're running furrow out of the front, 2x2 out of the sides, and filled up about felt like 12 or 15 minutes, but we really filled up about every 25 acres. Absolutely drove me crazy. Too much weight on the tractor, in drainage areas and different things like that. We were breaking stuff, having to go real slow, and I'm the guy that likes to get acres done. But I will rent your 160 if it's still available.
Sorry, it's gone.
So baby steps, I guess, is what I'd say, because we said, okay, we took all the 2x2 off and started back with furrow at lower water volume. Anything you can do to help, if the mountain is the 2x2, then the furrow is the hill. Maybe start there, baby steps, and work your way up. Our plans are to eventually have the 2x2 back, because there's just too much success from the guys that are using it not to be, especially fertilizer efficiency right now is as important as it's ever been. Whether you're using wide drops or conceal or strip till or whatever you're using, getting in the right spot, banding it on, that's where we got to be now. So, just kind of be open-minded to this and try it. That's what we done.
Okay, we got another question from our friend Rob.
So on the twin row planters, what is your thoughts on something like conceal? Because I don't think we can put conceal on a twin row planter right now, can we?
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily have to go dual band. If you could figure out a way to go single band with it, I'd be totally fine with that. I think that'd be great. So that's just the thing. I mean, it depends on total volume. Guys always ask me all the time, do I need one of those blue bands or both of them, single versus dual? I think it kind of depends on volume a little bit. In general, I would say anything less than 20 gallon to the acre I can get by with a single, and a twin row, I think that'd be fine. Ideally, though, with twin row, I'd love her right up the gut.
I
He's
can
not
answer
really
that.
listening to you,
Man,
by the way.
I can answer that. I can answer that question. I saw it. On twin row, they're putting one knife on one side of the first row. They're putting another knife on the other side of the second row. They're putting it on the outsides,
Yeah,
so that
that's
you
how
get
this
the
system
dual
would
band
do it.
effect.
Yeah, I would definitely want the dual band effect if you can possibly do it. You know, that'll set the stage up, because you could even go multi-product then too.
We've got the dribble now. We're dribbling on the ground, which is, you know, I was preaching efficiency a while ago, which is not quite as efficient as it needs to be, but it's a way to get it there.
Yeah. If I can get a rain on it right away, it's okay though. But I don't know about you guys. Whenever I need a rain, that's usually when I don't get it.
All right, I would like you, if we have any more questions, please let's take them. Otherwise, I want to hear from Jason about this product over here. He's going to do a little demonstration for us. He is with Precision Planting, and he's going to talk to us about stuff that happens at time of planting. So what am I looking at, and what do we want to conclude from all this, Jason?
The TV screen right behind you, Damien, that's what this is running live. We're running water through this, but this is what we call the 5-point touch. We've got our in-furrow with our furrow jet. That's the orange lines on the TV screen. I'm running 2 tanks and 2 pumps to get product through Furrow Jet. One, again, on the seed, in between the seed. Pick whatever product you want. I've got the ability to place that one product right there. Then we relay. We're going into the wings then. That's the outside orange ones on your TV screen. I can put a product there and manage it. And then we relay once again. We're going through the gauge wheels, kind of an inverted knife. Now, a lot of people call this 2x2. This is not 2x2. It's 3 inches over, and we're running 1.5 inches deep. You guys tell me, if you're running a 2x2 and you're planting corn 2 inches in depth, how deep are you going with your fertilizer? 4 inches, that's exactly right. Some guys will fight me on that. And my problem with going 4 inches, it's hard enough to get it fit at 2 inches, let alone going another 2 inches at 4. And now I'm slabbing, I'm creating sidewalls, and as good as that fertilizer can be for me, now we're going backwards a little bit. And so you guys tell me, you get a rain after we put nitrogen down, say with this, which way is that nitrogen going to move? Straight down. So my question is, why give it a head start? Yeah, so we're shallow here. If you want a placement tool, a fertilizer placement tool that'll go 6 inches deep, conceal is not your gig. It's not. We put a knife on here and we kind of turn it around backwards, put a spring on it, we drag it. We're only going 1.5 inches deep. We use the gauge wheels to collapse it so it's protected, so it's not dribbled on top, and it's safe. Everything is risk and reward, and this one's pretty safe.
Okay, any other questions more about that? Do we need to see anything more about this product? You know, it's pretty advanced stuff. We wheeled it over here for a reason. Is there anything that anybody would like to see with this piece of equipment?
On the closing system? Yeah. So Kevin's asking about the closing system on this. So this kind of changes and digresses away from fertility, but this is the last part of the planter that does 2 things for us. Number one, it's going to blow those sidewalls out we made with our openers. Okay, we're making that true V, if you will. And we're putting seed in the bottom of that true V. Closing system has to do 2 things for us. One, blast the sidewalls out and make it look like you've never been there before. The other thing it's got to do is got to get rid of any air pockets. Because if you have an air pocket there, the seed's surrounded by air, it can't imbibe water from the soil, and you're going to get a late emerger. So what we've done with this unit is we've made it a 2-stage system. And the first stage is going to be what attacks those sidewalls, the true V that you're making with your openers. That's the only job it does, blow those sidewalls out. The back stage is going to push the air pocket out. Traditional single-stage closers can't do both of these things typically. Here we say one job and one job only. And then we can put an airbag on this. We can run an automated mode and sense how aggressive do we need to be. So it's changing very similar to our downforce technology where we're putting the weight of the row unit in to get the proper depth. Questions on that?
All right. We are getting close to a break. The 3 guys from Xtreme Ag are going to be on the main stage at 2:15. So, and that's going to be a really cool thing since with Successful Farmer is called Mistakes We've Made. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through our 1-minute summary for everybody unless there's any questions. Any questions at all, we'll take them. We got one right over here, and then we're going to do our 1-minute summaries from each guy.
If you're putting phosphorus in the furrow, if that's what you need, does that hurt any biologicals that you'd put in there with it, wouldn't it? Does it do any good to put biologicals in with phosphorus?
So we're talking about compatibility issues. Okay, in furrow, he wants to put phosphorus in furrow. Is it going to then have a antagonistic effect or is there a compatibility issue with biologicals?
Well, it certainly can. We've had some folks tell us, don't put that phosphorus in the trench. You're screwing up some of that biological activity in the soil right there. The thing, we have 3 tanks and 3 pumps on our planter, so if you're a grower that thinks that, guess what? I've got the power to put a different product next to the seed, right? A sugar, a biological, whatever, and keep that phosphorus out of there and go to the wings. I got the flexibility to do it now. Yeah, that's what I really like about it.
Fantastic. We're going to then, if you have questions, you know what, stick around afterwards for Jason. We're going to do the 1-minute summary so our Xtreme Ag personalities can get over to the main stage with Successful Farming's Mistakes We've Made panel. This panel, wrap it up for me. First to go, Matt, Kevin, Kelly, 1-minute summary. What does everybody here need to know? We're talking about at planting fertility using Nachurs products or any other products. What do they need to know? The takeaway on at planting fertility.
Well, Jason's, listen to what Jason's telling you about these planter setups. That's absolutely critical. Seed placement, fertilizer placement is very critical. The one thing I can't stress enough is manage your plants. If you can't manage the population you're at, you don't need to go up on population, corn or soybeans. Learn to manage them plants. It does not take the amount of nutrients and cash, the cash, who knows, but the nutrients that you would once think to grow these good yields and maintain soil health.
With today's higher prices of commodities as well as fertility, I worry that a grower will cut back on these kind of products instead of maybe his dry program. I think that most of us probably have better fertility in the soil than what we realize or what we give credit to. And I really think if you need to cut something back, these are not the products I would do. The plant, like Kevin is, his total fertility is the triple option on his beans. If you're looking for a place to save money, I would, what we've done on our farm is cut back on our dry program and maintain this program because this is where we see the biggest ROI.
It's fantastic. Miles, wrapping it up, summary, at planting fertility takeaways.
That's why I wanted to go last, because I can always use the excuse, well, they said what I was going to say. But no, to be honest with you, what Kelly just said, we probably all over apply our normal fertilizer program, whether it's liquid or dry or whatever. And 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said this, okay? So I'm a changed man, but today, these are the products that I wouldn't. That's right. 5 years ago, I said I wasn't going to do it. Between the Xtreme Ag guys and Rob and Precision Planting, I mean, some of the stuff they've got going on, it's back to me paying attention to little things. And this is a little thing when you look at, putting out 150 pounds of potash or 100 pounds of DAP or whatever, and, 270, 300 units of nitrogen, and then you're talking about this little bitty amount of fertilizer that's there. But, when you're a baby, you don't eat 4 cheeseburgers. Rob might have, but most people didn't. So if you can get that efficient little bump of fertilizer there, when it needs to be there as a small plant, I think that's as crucial as anything we do.
All right, well, that's a nice little thing of bashing on the help. Anyway, if you have a question for Jason Webster about precision planting, he's going to stick around. Our guys from Xtreme Ag are going to go right over there to the main stage with Successful Farming. Also, we encourage all of you to keep up with what we're doing at Xtreme Ag. XtremeAg.farm. There's no E on the front of Xtreme. I have cards right here with the website. Come and see me afterwards. We'll also give you all kinds of koozies, and you can talk to my man Tommy Roach about Nachurs products. Thanks a lot for being here. This is the panel from Xtreme Ag.